guys, Andrew Shrout here in the sideboard with at-large competitor Brad Nelson, and we're here to talk about your legacy deck, Sneak and Show.
What a shocker.
Dun, dun, dun. This is a deck that you won an invitational with last year.
Yeah.
So certainly a deck you have plenty of experience with. So walk us through the deck real fast. This is certainly a deck that people that watch the Open Series a lot are familiar with.
Yeah, it's for the deck itself. You're just trying to get Emrakul or Griselbrand into play through Show and Tell or Sneak Attack.
Yeah.
With Sneak Attack, you get to make the Taylor Swift joke. I don't know about you, but
Attacking
I'm going
for
to do 22. Yeah.
15 plus 7.
Yep.
Basic math.
Yep. And then, but for metagame choices, I picked this deck because this is going to be a tough tournament to do well in Legacy, playing a fair fight with a lot of people, and it feels like a good metagame choice if people are on Storm and fair decks and they're all fighting each other. Also, if people don't expect Reanimator or Sneak and Show to show up, I don't think the number of Containment Priests is going to be that high in this tournament.
Okay.
So everything seemed like this was the only deck that I could choose.
All right. So of course the marquee cards, the 8 animals, Emrakul and Griselbrand, 4 Sneak Attack, 4 Show and Tell, 4 Force of Will, and 4 Brainstorm because it's a blue Legacy deck.
Yeah, because it's like a very good Magic card.
Yeah. 4 Ponders, 3 Preordains to find your combo.
Yeah, that's a big change. I'm not playing Probe in this tournament because you want Probe against permanents, but you want Preordain against spells because you can probe them and just see the counters you know they're looking for or have anyway.
Okay.
Like sometimes it's like, you know, like it's a good thing. It's like, oh, you don't actually have anything, I can go for it. But usually with this deck, I'm going to shove anyway.
Okay.
And I'm just going to get them regardless. You just want Probe when you're blind and you don't want to play against matchups that you don't know what's in their deck.
Sure.
And so this doesn't seem like a tournament where Probe is going to be better than Preordain.
Okay. You'd rather have a little bit of extra digging power.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, we haven't gotten there.
Hey, well, we're digging all kinds of ways. Spoilers, Brad. Spoilers. Yeah. We have 2 Overmaster. This is a card you've played before.
Yeah.
It's kind of becoming more of a staple in the archetype recently.
It's beautiful because if they don't have perfect information, if they haven't seen your hand, yes, they have probes, and yes, sometimes they will. But you can just Overmaster in the middle of the game, even turn 2, because like you could do weird things like play a land, ponder, play a petal, and then next turn just start off with Overmaster, and then they're like, oh, if he has a 2-mana land, he can just go off. So sometimes they just have to counter an Overmaster.
Okay.
And I've even like played it and they daze it, and I just pay for it and cantrip and get rid of the daze, and the next turn I can go off.
Okay.
But it's a great spell that not only pushes through Show and Tell, but is a must counter in many situations.
Gotcha. Your flex spots are a little different this time.
Yeah, we got some spice in this tournament.
All right. As you alluded to earlier, we have 1 dig through time.
Yep.
For when you feel like digging.
It's if the games go a little bit slower and they're more disruptive, a card like Dig Through Time can just get you both combo pieces, as well as just be a pitch card in the early game. And because we're Preordaining, we're just cycling through our deck, and they're countering a lot of our stuff. That like in a normal format with a wide open field, like I feel like the games are gonna like be a little bit more proactive on both sides. But with Flusterstorm 2 being my anti-combo and anti-control card, I feel like I have a decent advantage in the other combo matchups that if we do go long, Dig Through Time just automatically wins the game.
Okay. And Flusterstorm, you're playing this over Spell Pierce.
Yes. I don't think there's going to be many Jaces, other sneak attacks. Like all the decks that I'm scared of their spells are all spell-based. Like Reanimator doesn't really have anything, maybe an Animate Dead or 2, but they're usually Exhume and Reanimate. And I don't think any other sneak attacks, so I don't have to worry about Spell Pierce there. And then Jace and Counterbalance are like the only things. Maybe Liliana will show up. Like there's a couple people that play like bug decks. But outside of that, everything's going to be spells in this tournament.
Okay.
So the big change for this one is if they have 2 mana up and a Force of Will, Spell Pierce doesn't counter it, but Flusterstorm does.
Gotcha.
And they can't Spell Pierce your Flusterstorm where they can Spell Pierce your Spell Pierce or daze your Spell Pierce. They can't stop this card.
Right.
In a lot of situations that you would otherwise like, you know, lose out on your counter battle and not get your sneak attack or Show and Tell into play. So this helps against spells, whereas in other formats you don't want to do this. So I'm just saying this for people that play Sneak and Show. This is not what I would do in a big tournament, but for this tournament I will.
All right. It's kind of more of a metagame consideration.
Yep.
We're on to the lands. We won't talk about it too much.
Yeah, the only thing that I made a change of, oh sorry for cutting you off.
No, you do your thing.
I played 9 fetches instead of 7 to go with my Dig Through Times. Spoiler it again. And so I only have 3 volcanics and 2 islands, along with 9 fetches instead of the other 4, 3, and 7 fetches.
Okay. All right, so a little bit of a tweak there.
Yep.
Before we get to the sideboard, we'll talk about your metagame expectations a little bit, because it seems like you've made a lot of choices in the main deck, even based on what you expect the field to be. So I assume the sideboard is kind of similarly positioned that way.
Yeah. So the metagame that I expect for this tournament is going to be like two to four blue-red Delvers, 1 to 2 BBD decks in some varieties, whatever the New Jersey deck.
Sure.
1 to 2 Bug Delver, 0 to 1 Rug Delver, and then 1 to 2 Miracles, potentially 2 Reanimator decks, and whatever Jeff Hooglin shows up with.
Okay.
And I guess the same goes with Mr. Swansong himself,
Sure.
Derek Sheets. I don't know what they're going to be on, but the grinders are just going to grind what they know, just like I did.
Right.
And I'm hoping that, my range, they could put me on a higher range than I actually have with this format. But at the same time, I might be one of the only 2 people that are on decks like this, so I don't know how much they can lean towards it, where I'm leaning really hard towards all the Delver, all the Miracles, all the other combo decks. And that's one of the reasons why I chose this deck, because it gets to attack everyone in a unique way, as opposed to them having to decide if they want hate for me.
Okay. So let's run through the sideboard cards really quickly. Just kind of talk about why they're there. 3 Leyline of Sanctity.
When they target me.
3 is a weird number for ley lines. So is this
this is actually, because I forgot to say during my metagame prediction, I think that Storm is going to be in the field, like 2 to 3, or at least 1, or I'm thinking it'll be roughly 2, and that's the best card in that matchup.
Okay.
Also, who knows? Jim Davis might just try to Goblin Guide us all.
Sure.
And so, like, Leyline also is great against Mono Red.
Okay. And Pyroclasm good against Goblin Guide. So you've got both angles of Jim Davis covered.
Yeah, that doesn't come in against them though.
Okay, fair enough.
That's my anti-elves combo. Like,
yeah, sure.
You gotta beat the Elf Master himself, Matt Nass.
Gotta keep it real. Okay.
Gotta keep it real.
All right. Ross Merriam, the player in this tournament that you're kind of worried about. Graph Digger's Cage, I assume, similarly.
Yeah, it's good against Reanimator and Elves.
All right. And then we have one beside you who shelters all.
Yes, this card is just very good against these slow matchups. I really am just mortified to play against Joe Lissette. He just knows it's the deck that I have the worst time playing against is Miracles, and he is also one of the best Miracles players, if not the best player in the world. So I always feel like that is a tough matchup for me. Even though this deck is pretty well positioned against him, especially once we get to the next reel. I want the Boseiju, I want the Overmasters, I want the defense grids against him.
Yeah, we have 3 defense grids, so it seems like you're pretty strongly prepared against like counter magic, interaction on the stack.
Yeah.
A second dig through time to go with the one in the main.
Yeah, this is going to also help out against any deck trying to eat away at your hand or play a longer game against you. Not the strongest card on the draw against Swift Spears, but like definitely something you can do on the play. And I've had some really good results with Dig Through Time in the deck.
All right.
And the reason is because of that card.
This is sweet.
Yeah, so I played with Dig Through Time, hated it. Played with Omniscience, hated it. Played with them together, loved them. And the reason you have Omniscience is not only is it an obvious answer to Containment Priest. You show and tell, they flash in a Containment Priest, you go Omniscience, play Emrakul. But you can just you can dig through time to find your Omniscience when you have to fight Krakus plus Pithing Needle or any combination of threats. But you can also play Omniscience, dig through time for your Fatty, or in response to them like rebbing, because like there's this weird interaction where they can put something on the stack and then reb it. So if they just like put it show and tell in a Snapcaster Mage or Vendilion Click, then they get a trigger on the stack so they can Pyroblast my Omniscience before I get to use it. But Dig Through Time can help me like fight that. And so them in combination kind of shores up everything.
And then wipe away just for when things need to be wiped away, basically.
Yeah, it's the safety valve. It's just like, oh no, I didn't, like someone actually showed up with Ensnaring Bridge. I mean, they would be really dumb if they did. But if someone does show up with like an Ensnaring Bridge in this format, like you have no out. Like I can't win that matchup. And this is not the tournament where you can just like concede matchups, even though I do kind of in the formats. Like I have had bad matchups, but there's a lot of different things. there's too many things not to just simply play one wipe away.
Sure, and of course you do have the 2 digs to find it and just all the cantrips.
Exactly. Yeah.
So.
I have Gristlebrand to draw me 14, dig through time, find that. I can see my entire deck within like 3 turns with going full throttle.
All right. Well, this is the archetype that I think I expected you to show up with.
Obviously, everyone did.
Sure.
But what am I going to do? I'm not that great at this format. Like I got to play something that I know.
You're going to play what you know. Yeah.
Yep.
It seems like a solid plan. So good luck
Thank
this
you.
weekend, and thanks for coming in and talking with me about it.
I had to.
Stick around. We've got plenty more coverage coming of the Players' Championship here in Roanoke.